Okay, wanted to ask about the use of olive oil or avocado oil.
Oh, both are great. Olive oil, I usually like to recommend a cold pressed olive oil for foods and that don't require cooking, like high heat cooking for salads. Avocado oil is great in that it withstands high heat, so it's a great oil to cook with. Both are great. Yeah.
Great. Is flaxseed meal a good option also?
Um, Flaxseed meal is it's pretty much the same as ground flaxseed.
Okay. And I'm going in sort of random order here, just so you know. Can you cook sauerkraut?
You can heat it up. I don't think it deactivates, but you want to just warm it a little tiny bit.
Okay. Let's see. What do you think about yogurts?
Um, it depends what kind. But I mean, there are some great plant-based yogurts that are doused in teaspoons and teaspoons of sugar. It really depends what else is in there as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so for mushrooms, we have someone that eats a lot of mushrooms, cauliflower, broccoli sauteed in olive oil. Does it matter if it's raw or cooked?
So that's a great question. Raw is great. Cooked, it's important to cook your vegetables lightly. So, and the reason I say that is cooking releases when you're cooking it, you're releasing a lot of the antioxidants that are trapped in the fibers of the raw food. So you're going to get a lot more out of it. But both, we don't discriminate. All veggies are great in any form. Just eat your veggies.
I know you talked a lot about the different types of mushrooms. Someone has a question about what you think about turkey tail mushrooms for immune system.
Turkey tail is great. It's great. There's a lot of research as well on turkey tail. It is included in various products like mushroom powder. It's not something. I have one patient in Pennsylvania that grows her own turkey tail mushroom, but it lasted a very short period of time for her. So that's something generally people will get when they're buying like a broad spectrum mushroom powder.
Mhm.
But it's great. But is it? I guess if the question is like, if you're just focusing on that, no, you got to start with the food. You want to include the food, and of course, you can utilize turkey tail. But it's good. It's good stuff. To answer the question, yes, good stuff.
Great. Actually, someone had a more question about the master class. So is it group? Is it one-on-one? How is it structured?
Sure. So the master class is basically an inexpensive way to obtain the Beller method. So it's not one-on-one. It is a group. When you don't need to show up at 9 o'clock on the 26th. All it means is that we're releasing the first module. So we start with breakfast, a phased approach. You get all the shopping, everything is there for you, very easy access. There is a group feed where you can share certain things. So for example, if I'm starting you on a breakfast and I want you to, and I'm giving you everything there, but I want to see what you're doing. So you can upload even a picture of your breakfast. Everyone's anonymous, it's fully private. And I'm gonna give feedback. I log in, I'm like, this is great, why don't you try this next time? And that's how it's done. My responses are in the group feed. We do hold office hours. So we do have these little phone sessions that we do. I have a registered dietitian on the team. My team is great. So we do that periodically. And we also have educational Zoom sessions bi-weekly, but it's not the same as the one-on-one. That's a more concierge service, but this is a great way. We've had individuals from all over the country, and I'm not just saying it because this is something I've been dreaming about, which is disseminating this method to a larger population. And I love hearing from oncologists and different specialists around the country thanking us for having something that's inexpensive, The patients have it everywhere they go. We have it on an app. It's just great. And a lot of people do the 8-week program and then they continue and continue. We actually get to know them. So there are quite a few members that I already know them. I know their life. I know so much about them. It's great. So, but we can answer any questions. You guys can email us, but thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, let's see. This is a little, so we talked, I know, about the amount of fiber, but do you have a recommended certain level of protein each day for people, or is that individual?
Kind of easy to answer. So, okay. If we look at Americans in general, okay, 3%, if I had an audience of 1,000 people and I said, raise your hand if you know fiber is good for you, everyone's going to raise their hand. Despite that, 3% of Americans are meeting their fiber goal. 3%. When I have a patient that comes into the Bella Nutritional Institute, or I'm working with them on Zoom, when I do a diet history, very few, despite knowing what to do and being good produce eaters, very rarely are they above 50% of what we want. So we find a lot of people are deficient in fiber. Now, 97% of Americans get way more protein than they'll ever need. In my 20 years of practice, rarely, I've only experienced maybe end-stage disease or an eating disorder clinic where someone is really deficient in protein. It's rare. It's rare. But on the method, we do give you very simple guidelines and blueprints so you know how much protein is normal to add to a meal. Like a lot of people are transitioning into plant-based eating right now, which, by the way, it's very important to, you don't have to go 100% plant-based all at once. A lot of people ask, is the Transformation Masterclass, is it plant-based? And it's not. We give you a method by which to phase it in. And if you are including animal-based proteins, we'll tell you what we advise for how much and how often. And sometimes we'll have like a plant-based challenge to introduce you to eating more plant-based, but it's not for the purpose of converting you into 100% plant-based. We want you to see what it's like and to say, oh, I'm going to keep some of these in my rotation. And that's great. But you also want to know, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't understand if they're, let's say, not eating chicken and they were used to eating a breast of chicken. Well, what does that look like when it's a plant-based protein? Is it like 1/4 of a cup? Is it a cup? And that's great just to teach them simple ways of how to do that. So for protein, I think it's very individualized, but it's not complicated. It's not something that we really need to overthink. It's just knowing how to build those meals simply in a way that's protective when it comes to cancer prevention of recurrence, thrivership, heart disease, and so many other things. Very, very simple.
So in talking too about, more plant-based, people, a lot of people are making smoothies or what have you, as far as, there's so many different plant-based milks out there now. Is one better than the other, like almond milk or soy milk or macadamia nut milk or?
Soy milk will have more protein, but is one better than the other? Well, not necessarily when it comes to, is cashew milk better than almond milk? I'll tell you what's better. Less is more is better. When you see a plant-based milk where the ingredients say cashews and maybe a little bit of Himalayan sea salt or cashews water and a little bit of salt, or just cashews or almonds and water, bingo, that's where it's at. And it doesn't have to cost so much. You'll see there's a brand called Elmhurst. You can find it at any market. I haven't seen it at Whole Foods. And it's just that. It's just the nut. They have so many different nut options and water. And that's great because some of these other brands, they have the nut, the water, a lot of water. They're selling you very little nut, lots of water. The caloric value is smaller because they needed to dilute it for the less calories. And then it just looks so awful that they have to add all these emulsifiers and binders to make it look like something you can drink, right? So what I tell my patients, look, everyone has their own weight management goals and different things that they're trying to do. I just tell them, you know what, if you want to cut the calories from 100 per cup to 50, add your own water. You're going to save lots of money, and you're cutting it down that way if you want to, but you're bypassing all those additives. So yes, the simpler option is better in that respect. So it's not nut against nut, it's product against product. But the good thing is that what registered dietitians do is we spend hours at the store, we look at all these things, and then we just tell you what to do.
That's great. That's great.